All right.
Hey,
Okay.
friends.
So, hey there. So, we want to take a minute to welcome everyone to our business strategy hour. We're excited to have you here. And I'm Shawna, and this is my co-founder and husband, David. And together we run a remote operations agency and help business owners build companies that are easier to lead, easier to scale, and ultimately more valuable. Um, a little bit about us: for over 12 years, we've worked with founders and growing businesses to improve operations through delegation, automation, systems, and implementation support. And alongside our incredible US-based team, who sometimes joins these sessions to share real case studies and behind the scenes insights from client projects. And the goal of these weekly conversations is to help business owners stop being the bottleneck or constraint in their business. So before we dive in, we'd love for you to, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, before we dive in, I would like to introduce the team. Um,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Maybe you
that's
can
great.
introduce Melissa. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, we have a couple of our team members on the call today.
Yeah, hi, I'm Melissa. I'm one of the project managers on MTZ. And so I help to organize, execute, plan, and, put together whenever we have a project, whether it's internally or with one of our clients. I help organize and execute and get the team on board and, delegate the tasks there. I also help to, come up with processes to help streamline what we have going on and make things smoother, easier, and less manual for everybody. So a little blurb.
Great. And then Haley, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Haley. I am also a project manager here at MTZ. I share a lot of similar tasks and responsibilities as Melissa. So anything project management that comes to mind, that's something that I also share. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here today.
And John Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I know John Paul was there,
Yeah.
but I know he's having some connection issues. So if you're there, John Paul,
Well, John,
hello, and you can chime in when
when
it's
you're
a good
ready.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Okay, great. So
yeah,
now if you want to,
yeah. So I guess before we dive into our topic today, I would love for anyone that would like to share what kind of business you run, and maybe you might share an operational challenge you're facing currently.
hey, Kenny,
Okay, Kenny.
anybody want to chime in? Any guests?
I'll say hi. Hi, I'm Kathy Highland.
Hi,
Kathy.
Kathy.
Hi, I am a life coach, confidence mentor, and a first-time entrepreneur. 2.5, almost 3 years. And I have to say, I've gone through all those challenges, right? And so I'm glad to be here today. I was once before and picked up a couple of hints and tips. So I thought, hey, I saw your thing pop up, Shauna, and I jumped on.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah, glad you made it.
John Paul, would you like to, glad you could make it. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is John Paul. I was having some technical difficulties, but glad to be here. I am one of the MTZ team members. I do a lot of work with graphic design, websites, funnels, email copy, a little bit of automation stuff. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Okay, great. All
Yeah.
righty. So, you know, we came up with the idea of doing these like Zoom sessions because from working with very successful clients, we learned a lot of tricks of the trade. We learned a lot of how to solve a lot of puzzles, the technical, the strategic, and just like kind of we learned how to think about it. Um, and so we want to help you apply these strategies to your business. And there's different ways of doing it. Like, you can speak to, numerous data specialists, and they can maybe, oh, it's maybe this way or that way. But something very specific that MTZ brings to the conversation is that there's a certain way that high level, successful clients do it. And that way is the most efficient way for you to generate revenue. There's an efficient way, and we want to help you set the table so that if you're starting a business and you haven't like generated any money yet, or maybe it's just kind of starting to break open, or you already have the machine up and running, but it's still kind of shaky, or you're doing okay, or you're doing well, or you're very successful, but still you are at the helm, you run the company from memory, and you're working, sunrise to sunset, and there's not enough hours in the day. So for us, these are pearls we want to share, because once you start thinking about how you're going to run your company, you start thinking like systematically, you start working exponentially. And so, so that the business can run even when you're not at the helm. And that's going to be key. That, there's this one tagline that that I have that I've used on some posts. Do you fear that, do you fear like stepping away from your business without causing chaos? Which is like, it's a very real thing. If you're a business owner and you get sick, it stops. And so, it's almost like, I almost view the systems as almost like a quote unquote, like an insurance policy, or like a spare tire, or, just something that keeps the light on while you're away. Okay.
Yeah, just to repeat, do you fear your business can't run without you?
Do you fear your business can't run without you? There it is.
And, maybe it's profitable, but it depends on you for everything.
Yeah. So some clients that we've worked with, they were already successful, but still I see it like imagine it like a pizza. Some slices that were not, like, they were kind of separated, disconnected. And what you want to do is you want to have it all connected, one complete system. Even if you have just a small, like, solopreneur operation, that your system, even if it doesn't have to be big, but that all the pieces are connected, and that you hit the switch, and the whole thing, and it's running, and you have visibility into what's happening. A lot of times it's blind spots.
Yeah, I guess really quick, like, even like the term system, it doesn't always mean like some software automation. It's really like, is there something like a repeatable task you do that, and maybe you found the most efficient way to do it, and then like that's what you want to repeat, and so that's like build a system around that, and then train someone else to do it, maybe, but then it could take that off your plate.
Yeah, let me take that a little further. Perfect. I don't want the word system to make people think, oh, this is not for me. I'm not that, maybe, or my operation's not that sophisticated. What we need, system has like, it applies in different ways, like has different meanings to different things. Like, yeah, there's some clients that we have, and have this very sophisticated system and Shopify and software developers on the back end, but it could also be very, very simple. I'll give you an example. We went out to eat yesterday, and I remember I saw like just some supplies on the restaurant, and I said to Shawna, you know what? I bet you, like, they have, like, I mean, we know this, but like they have a system to replenish those supplies. So, even when the owner is not there, because I saw the hours and I was like, there's no way that an owner that one owner could keep up with that schedule. So, it's a system. And then like, okay, that the person that replenishes, like, let's say the straws, right? Um, okay, then the owner has to oversee that. How to, there's got to be like visibility, like is it happening? Is it, or what's the stock? Like, are we low? Are we high? Or where are we? There's this visibility. And you too can have that. You don't have to be a restaurant owner and you don't have to have a big operation. But what you do need is a system that, you know, that is set that where you're set up to grow your business, grow your revenue, grow your time. It will increase your time, even if like, let's say you're working on the company, your startup, and you're doing like, a bunch of hours, a lot of hours a week, right? And then maybe you start implementing you start plugging in a few components, you start building out the system, and all of a sudden, those repeatable tasks are handed off either to someone, which doesn't require a system, or, or maybe you're using a software and, you're able to free up a couple hours of your time, a few hours, or, and we've seen systems, the benefits and the impact with our clients. I mean, we I can tell you some people, some of the founders, we don't talk to them that much because we have our system has it covered for them, and we have a point of contact. We talk to them, and we don't need to talk to them every day, and because we have a system in place for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great intro to that the topic today is systemize your tasks. And before we dive into that, I did want to check in, anyone have, based on what we've shared so far, any questions or anything you want to share, anything come up for you guys?
Any kind of questions? I mean, it's an open, it's open.
I will just laugh every time you say the word system. I'm using System.io as my basis. So I use the word or see the word system like all the time, right? My CRM is in there, my email campaigns are in there, my automatic thank yous, my rolling things. So when you said it doesn't have to necessarily be a system, it's like, well, the name of my system is System.
Yeah.
That's great, Kathy, that you have a tool like that. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I see Joseph has joined us. I want to say thank you for coming, Joseph. And reached out to him to come down.
And feel free, even if you're not on camera,
You don't
can
have to be on video.
You can unmute yourself if you
Yeah.
want to say anything, and if you don't, that's fine too.
Yeah. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
All righty.
Well, I think Haley, I know you have a few things to share with us today, and so I'd love to dive into that.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get to talk about systems and processes. This is my jam. So, yeah, I think the focus today is turning chaos into clear processes, which is something obviously that you and Shawna and David have already started discussing. And I just want to repeat what you guys were saying. A system is repeatable actions and tasks, not just softwares and technology. That's just so crucial to understand when we're talking through this today. And as they've shared already, if something comes to mind for any of you that are here, feel free to add it in the chat, unmute, or what have you. We're happy to have open discussion about any of this. If there's a specific question or idea or, whatever it is, please feel free to chime in. So, without a system, people naturally start going into their messaging system, whatever that is for you, Slack, Teams, Google Chat, asking around the team or going directly to leadership. And that's not always ideal, right? As an executive or as the leader of your organization, you have things to accomplish and you have vision to cast and plans to make, to grow and extend your business. So these systems and processes really help your team work autonomously and help you keep your time. So we're excited to kind of share, some common examples of operational frustrations that growing businesses experience, and some better processes that help solve those. So we'll kind of walk through a few of these that we see on a regular basis. First one that we see often is as work and prog sorry. As work and progress projects grow, visibility became harder. How many people can relate to that? I know that I have been in many of projects where that's an issue. So questions that may be asked are, what is everyone working on? Who has bandwidth? Are there any blockers? Is someone waiting on information? And where should the updates on the project live? So some solutions that, we've seen and we've created and we've implemented can look like really just communication standards, right? So frequent check-ins with your team, beginning of day, end of day check-ins. Where are you starting your day? What are you working on? How are you ending your day? And what did you accomplish? That alone really resolves a lot of problems. Being able to see, oh, my team member actually was working and, move the needle forward on this specific project in this specific way. That really resolves a lot of problems and visibility issues. Oftentimes, when we're using a project management platform, they may change the status to from new item to working on it. Well, what does working on it really mean? So these kind of updates really help you have that visibility and insight to see exactly what's happening in your projects. And then another area that's similar is instead of maybe it's a Slack message, maybe it isn't a project management platform. Maybe you have a board with, your team members where they can provide their daily updates there versus in a communication thread with your team. Either way, just helping to highlight, what I'm planning to work on, what actually got executed, and keeping the ball moving forward. Okay, another question or problem, kind of going hand in hand with that, oftentimes from leadership is the same thing, what is the status? And so the core of that is, again, seeing the blockers first. Oh, I see Melissa, you added some here. And Melissa, of course, feel free to unmute. But she was saying blockers and questions can be flagged in either update, which I love. That's something that we use often here at MTZ. And then also it kind of helps, as a project manager, I'm able to just jump in a communication thread and see John Paul had a question about this specific thing. I need to talk to the client and get an answer, or I need to produce an answer for him. So yes, definitely helps with blockers and anything that needs to be flagged. So thank you for that, Melissa. Okay, another area where there may be, need for visibility or systems are one-on-one calls, right? Whether it's you as a leader or an executive having one-on-one calls, or maybe it's someone in your team that you've delegated one-on-one calls to. What is actually happening during those calls? So creating one resource and one space to hold that vital information and making it a simple process for you as the leader to quickly be able to analyze what's happening, if personnel in your team needs support, do they lack capacity? Maybe there's personal life going on for them. Maybe we need to rearrange some projects, things happen. So just creating one space for all the information and again, a simple, repeatable process. Okay. And this is a different kind of problem, but you as a leader having multiple initiatives on your plate and lacking time to delegate and train, what do you do? So this is something that we've supported with and worked on. So we created, a delegation intake process. So Shawna and David are able to, or whoever our client is, are able to kind of download a new initiative, and then, one of us is able to download that information and take it and delegate it. So they're not having to do, the training themselves or vision casting that can happen from another member of the team. And then, that really turns into brain dumping, turning into execution, which I don't know how many of you can relate to having so many ideas and needing to get it out onto paper or into a document on your computer, and actually turn that into action. But I know that here at MTZ, that's something that we see a lot with clients or even internally. So it's great to have a process in place to turn those ideas into something actionable.
Haley, it's Kathy.
Yeah, hi.
I love intake forms. I love forms for everything, right?
Mhm.
Do you use a shareable program? Are you using a Google Drive, or is there something specific up in the cloud? Or how do you maintain access and who has access and who doesn't have access?
Yeah, great question. And obviously, Melissa, Shawna, David, if you have anything specific you'd like to call to, I'll quickly answer and say we do a mix of those things. Not to be vague, but depending on the situation, we do have some forms attached to specific projects. So, one example we have, I'm trying to think of Melissa and I actually were talking about this earlier yesterday, I think. We have a new system in place actually to help get weekly updates about specific clients. So we have a form that lives on a project management platform. And so a team member that is going to, be um, uploading their update to the team. Oh, yes, Melissa, we use Monday. Thank you.
Mondays,
I
okay.
forgot
Yeah,
that piece. Sorry.
I like Mondays. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Mondays, Trello, Asana. I've tried many of them. Yeah.
yep,
Okay. Yeah,
yep.
Mondays. I do like Mondays. Yeah.
Yep. So we have a form on Monday for the specific process. And so they just quickly answer all the questions. And then obviously,
Something that just can be interactive to the, yeah.
yep. Yep. And then it's an easy link to follow as well. So you can have it pinned in a Slack channel, a Teams channel, wherever it may live. And it's easy to access, which we love, easy access and all of those things as well. So,
And you were making reference to like internal, and I was thinking internal, external too. So,
yep.
mhm.
Yep.
Haley, can you share how we communicate that information through the channels? I know some people are really savvy with Slack, but I always the communication is also systemized. So kind of go into go into the nuts and bolts of how we communicate with each other, the channels, internal, client facing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I
And,
see that
and
Joseph.
actually, yeah, I was just gonna say, go ahead, Haley.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you, Shauna. Yeah, I just saw Joseph ask a question, so I'll answer Joseph and then jump into that, David. Okay, so Joseph asked, how do you encourage team adoption so people actually use the process consistently instead of reverting back to emails or side conversations? That is definitely a blocker in new systems and processes. So I understand and I hear you. For us, and of course, anyone on MTZ that would like to answer, feel free to jump in. But I will just say, from my perspective as a project manager, you know, I think something in our culture too of just being coachable and communication being such a crucial element of our relationship and our dynamic. When we have something new to roll out, we make sure that it's communicated across the team that it applies to, whether that be for a specific client or completely across the board internally. So it's communicated formally with an SOP, maybe even a Loom video to walk through. And then it's also communicated in those one-to-one calls. So, if there's ever any question, they have multiple opportunities to ask. And then also, everyone has a different style of learning, whether it be, reading or a visual, like a video. Maybe it's a one pager even with a visual there. But we just try to make it as easy as possible to consume. And then there's always a check-in after something's rolled out of, hey, it's been a week, it's been 30 days, whatever that looks like. How does this feel to you? What's working? What doesn't feel quite right? And then we kind of adjust our sales from there.
Yeah, and I want to add something else that's been really efficient for us, and I've really enjoyed it. It's the Loom videos. So what does that mean? So, we'll record like the instruction, like or the update on the Loom video, and then we send it out so that, it's not one person like making 10, 20 phone calls. We send out a Loom and they see the video and everybody gets the message, can get the message at the same time and see the video on their own time. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that and say we always, as the project managers, we always try to say, please react to this message with a green check mark so we know when you've reviewed it, so they know that they've seen it. And I was also just going to throw in there too. There's times too where we set up a process, we create an SOP, record a loom for it, and then we actually put it into place and we're like, we actually want it to go a different way or whatnot. So we just edit and adapt as we go. But I think the SOP and the loom is really key there. We make it very clear, like these are the steps of the process. This is what we're doing moving forward. And then, I mean, I know our team, we help hold each other accountable for making sure we stay on top of that process. So.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll add something. I think that we we encourage each other. And so if we happen to notice like, oh, this person's not following this system or this process that it's intended to help everyone. It's intended to help them, our clients, like we all have this common goal. Really, I try to get like maybe like rather than getting frustrated, I try to get curious and see like, oh, like what could it be? Like what could be the blocker or the, something wasn't communicated and yeah, like is this person maybe they have a different communication style or learning style and just kind of like support them. And so
Yeah, and I'll give you something that really benefits me. Sometimes we send out a message, and whether it's on Slack or Monday, and I want to just get a quick snapshot, and it'll be like, hey, if you received this message, give us a thumbs up, and then I'll look, and if I see like the number, if we sent out the message to like 5 people, 10 people, whatever it is, I just look for 5 thumbs or 10 thumb. Oh, okay, I know that in one look, I can
yeah.
I can figure
I
out,
think it's the old I don't know if everyone knows the saying, but inspect what you expect is like part of it. So if you have like this expectation, like check it out and see like is everyone doing that, and then whoever's not, like see what kind of support they might need.
Joseph, did that answer your question? Would you like us to expand on that?
And John Paul, I saw you had your hand up at one point if you wanted to share anything.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on that from my perspective as one of the implementation team members. Um, I when we first when I first came on board with MTZ, um, they were MTZ. We were using Monday.com, but we were also using Slack, just like we are now. But we have made it a a huge it's been a huge initiative to anchor everything in Monday.com instead of having those Slack conversations. So as far as encouraging adoption, it is a process. It can be a process. I know for me, I would kind of forget that I'm supposed to put something in Monday, but over time, um, and being encouraged in that, like, hey, this is where the task should live. This is where everyone has visibility. It just became a new pattern for me, and now I'm. Oh, Kathy, you're leaving, so yeah. Thanks for jumping on here.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy.
So anyways, I was just sharing that from a team member's perspective. It's really about encouraging and reminding the team that, hey, this is how we do things, and this is the standard, and then kind of pointing them back to that. And yeah, so I just thought sharing my experience as someone who had a hard time with that in the beginning, but now I'm fully all about Monday, and it really helps me, and I understand the value of it. So.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, John Paul. I think even like for me, when we started out using Monday, it's like it's like a habit. Like I think you said pattern, it's like getting into the habit of using this new tool and this system, and then it can, yeah. And then so encouraging them, encouraging the team to get this habit and with this pattern. So, um, Yeah, thanks for the follow-up there, Joseph. Um, I'm just reading it in the chat. And
Yeah.
yeah, and did you want to add anything?
No, I'm just listening. No.
Okay.
Yeah, so another thing I think that helps and like that, we are consistent with our system, and that's why we have a motto. And it's like a centerpiece of how MTZ thinks, the thinking behind MTZ. And that motto, it's an acronym, it's ACE. A period, C period, E period. And it stands for accurate, consistent, enthusiastic. And the C is really like the consistency of it. It's really like the glue, right? It really like keeps the whole thing together. We're able to repeat the process, and it's really what kind of just keeps us on message, keeps us on task. And if us working together in synchronicity can be consistent, then the more consistent we are internally, then the more consistent we can be with the client facing. So yeah, and so that motto was, the when we first started, we didn't have that motto. We were just kind of like working, on projects, and after a while we kept on we realized we had to sync up, sync up, sync up, sync up. And then we're like, okay, we hired like one person on our team. Then we had, and then it was four of us. And we're like, wow, there's four people on our team. And then like we just kept on growing. And after a while we realized that if we're going to have a team of 20 plus people, that we would have to have a shared thinking. We would have to have agreement as to how we think and how we operate.
Yeah, and that's something actually we didn't have it like when we started, when it was just David and I, but as we started hiring, bringing people onto the team, and like part of our hiring process and our interview process became, you know, sharing with the candidates that we're talking to, hey, ACE, our acronym and what it means, and if there is alignment there, then that means they're a good fit for the team.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that we over the years we really have had such great team members that even our clients took notice and ended up asking us to help them with hiring. So that was over the 12 years that we've been doing this. One of the things we did support clients with for a couple years was staffing and recruitment. And this was like part of our approach, and we still do it. But yeah, and I guess maybe this could be a good time also to mention that if anything you're hearing here on this call sounds good to you, and maybe you might like to have a deeper conversation with David and I, and maybe just discuss your business individually. We would love to invite you to a free 30-minute strategy call. And yeah, we talk about your business because everything we do is custom. So it's great to just get to know you and your business, and then we love to offer some quick wins, some things that can help we can identify quickly.
Yeah, the goal would be that you walk away from that strategy call with a little more clarity than you had 30 minutes ago. So yeah.
And okay, so
one more thing, I'm sorry. One more thing I wanted to add regarding hiring. So the hiring came to us. This was a really nice thing. It was offered to us because they saw how consistent our team was it was really the team that reflected like what they wanted. They wanted some of that the way we operate, the culture of our team, the way we communicate, our efficiency, all the things that MTZ offers. And aside from our services, they're like, hey, uh, can you help us hire, can you help us with
Yeah.
some recruitment? And so,
And it was
yeah,
even like for things that we're not necessarily like is in our industry. So yeah, I
yeah,
mean, really, it's
all
just
that,
about finding people that are a good fit for what you need. Like we learned that, we gathered that information and then we find those people, whether we have experience in that industry.
oh yeah,
But however, I don't know, along the years, we just happen to have a lot of experience. I mean,
across
across, yeah, I
a
mean,
lot of
we've
industries.
been in this business for 12 years, but I have over 25 years in different businesses and industries. So,
Now, and one thing I kind of want to add that I want to share from our experience that hopefully this can help you. That I mentioned that when we first started, we didn't have a motto, and it kind of came a little later, but you can have one now. If you're just starting out, like you can start, what is like what is your motto? Like, how am I going to operate? Like, what is your tagline, your slogan? What is it that, and I don't say that lightly because we really thought through what was it changed. We were like accurate something like we were kind of, and then we boiled it down to ACE. So it's a very important thing because it kind of sums up what your company's about, what your business is about, what are you about, like what is it you want to offer, what is it the thing that people can benefit from, your motto, how can people benefit from your motto, all that thinking went into it.
yeah, and then just real quick, just to kind of tie it together, is really we have a system, right? This was our part of our system for hiring internally, and then our clients asked us to support them, and so we created a system for doing hiring and recruiting for our clients. So I guess with that, speaking of systems, Haley, did you have anything more you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, we can continue going through some of these operational, inefficiencies that we've worked with in the past, and some solutions we provided. Um, let's see, we have a couple more here. So, one being, trouble tracking capacity and availability. And if that's employees or contractors. And so what that can look like is creating a space for that to live, all the details. So you get visibility into that bandwidth and capacity. What hours are these contractors working? And then really dial that in even further. Should they be client facing with their hours or should they be more internally working? There's a lot of factors that come into play with that, but that's definitely a problem we've solved before. Another problem or operational issue that you need a system for is what if your team doesn't know what resources are available for the project they're working on? Do they have a space dedicated to finding all of those, resources? So is that in a project board? Is that in a project management platform? Is that in your communication channel? Is it in both? That's up to you to decide as a leader, right? But it's creating that system and that process so everyone knows, okay, I'm going to log in and work on this project today. I know exactly where I can find all of the resources to complete my task. And that's a huge, huge win for clients and for your business. Another similar issue is what if the team doesn't know who else is contributing to the project, right? That's happened before for clients or internally. Starting a project, they need to collaborate. Maybe it's design and copy, or maybe it's the automations with design and copy, or there's multiple ways that the team members work together and collaborate, right? So it's crucial for them to know who's working alongside them, when they're available, Um, and also if there's dependencies, if design and copy needs to complete something for the automation specialist, they need to be able to work together closely and also be able to find that resource. So those are just a couple of more items to kind of highlight typical operational inefficiencies and simple solutions and, kind of mapping how that can support your team.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. That's all really
Yeah.
great information. Go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to add what Haley was talking about is the visibility. We talked earlier about the communication and then what you're able to see. It's about like pulling the camera back, being able to have like a bird's eye view of it's like the game board to see where, like the Monopoly, right? Like a game board to see, where things are. And when there's no visibility, there's a disconnect and there's blind spots. And if there's blind spots, projects don't get completed, projects are stalled. You lose time, maybe miss a deadline. Those are the things that are, and maybe it's a very important deadline. And so, a part of the delivery is that we know kind of where we are. Everybody knows where they are, like, at all times, like, okay, that's here, that's there. And, or I can see, like, or I can get an update. So, to have that visibility is super important. And you can have that as now we're talking about us as our team, right? But I also want to make this relatable to you as you're a solopreneur or you're a big corporation, either one, that you're able, even if you're like solopreneur, you're able that you can have a dashboard built out for you and where you can see, the updates, what's what, where are we? Every day I ask myself, okay, where are we today? I gotta see where are we? Where are we? And the more the all that like that means that the chances of you completing that mission increase. You start working more and more efficiently, and all those things working together systematically. It's moving parts, right? Working together is your setup. You're working out efficiently, and so whatever your business is generating, it's like things are moving along, projects are completion, moving on to the next project, the next client, and the wheel starts turning. And now, guess what? Momentum is on your side, and it's the consistency that keeps the momentum going forward.
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah,
to,
that's great.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry, Shauna. I was just
yeah.
going to jump in too and say, when we are creating any type of system, it's really important to, I mean, you take into consideration, like for us, we have a larger team, so we keep that in mind when we're making these systems. But like David said, if maybe you don't have a team or you only have a couple team members, you would keep that in mind. But always my goal, and I know Haley's the same way too, when we set up systems, obviously we want to get, the desired outcome, but our goal is always to make it super clear and as simple as possible for everybody, right? That's what's going to help keep it consistent and, you know, a repeatable process that gets done. And so I just wanted to share that from the ops, project management side, that as we set up these systems, that's what we're always keeping in mind. And, the structure of our team, the setup of our team, and then also, how is this going to be clear and how can this be repeatable for the team? So as simple as possible. Because if, we find sometimes if it's so difficult and complex that it's not as likely to be repeatable and be consistent. So I just wanted to share that because Haley shared a lot of our, ideas of systems we put in place. So I just wanted to share like the backhand side decision of that. So anyway.
I think too, building on that really quickly, and then Shauna, you can take the reins, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to add too, when we're thinking about all of this, the goal is obviously for your business to thrive. And oftentimes that means scaling those simple processes into, again, being repeatable, making sure that even as you grow, they still apply and they are still relevant. So anyway, just another small piece.
Yeah, and I see John Paul, he's talking about evolving, and the system evolves, and that's true. Some things they that worked, something that worked maybe months ago doesn't work anymore, or it works. Guess what? We found an even better way to make it work. So, John Paul, do you want to share? Want to expand on that thought?
Well, as an example, the system that we have in place for these live events, this is it is a recent project and system that we've created. So it's constantly evolving to make it more and more efficient. Um, the first iteration was really good. The fifth iteration is way better than the first, but we just keep moving and keep progressing as we go. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what I was speaking to when
Yeah.
it comes to systems and continuous improvement.
Yeah, you never just leave a system alone, obviously, but even though the creator, you always are keeping an eye on it to see like, is this working? If not, what
Yeah.
are some improvements we could make?
Good point, Melissa. So that even opens up. See, there's these things that like we kind of know, and these Zoom sessions has allowed me to kind of talk about them. And so essentially what you're saying that you should know too out there, the viewer, is that systems require maintenance. That's what we're really saying. They require maintenance. If you have, let's say you automated something and the system supports automation, and even the system behind the system, it requires just good old-fashioned maintenance. And visibility is so important because when things break down or like a link breaks or something and there's a glitch, because that's just part of technology, we can immediately see it. Okay. And then if time could be of the essence, there's a launch, someone's launching a book release or some conference is getting organized, and those invitations need to get out. There's whatever the case may be, or they're moving high volume on an e-commerce company, right? And so to be able to resolve that like very quickly, or to be aware of like, okay, what's going on, and who's available to get to it. That's also like all those things working together that we've been talking about, the visibility, the communication, the maintenance, the nuts and bolts of it. There's all the different channels that we have in Slack, delegated. This conversation is for these two or three people. This conversation is just for those two people. This conversation is for 20 people. All those things we like, we're trying to, we're always looking how to, we organize the communication, who we communicate to and how we communicate. And so
We're intentional.
we're intentional. Yeah. So when I say system, and it involves a lot of things, and all that working together is part of the system. And even if you're like a solopreneur, maybe you have one assistant, you have one VA, two VA. Let's say you have two VAs. Let's just keep it simple. And this conversation is between you and this one VA, and maybe this other conversation is for three of you and your two VAs. And just little things like that. You keep your channels of communication clean. I'll go even further, so that it's not one big like mess, of messages. That's why Slack is so important. And Joseph asked earlier, how do we keep, people on board so that they don't go back to maybe emailing or texting, because all the messaging it's broken up. It's in different places. Who can see what? You got to forward it, or maybe you didn't forward it. It's going to cause a lot of confusion. So, or systemizing the communication is also key.
Yeah, that's a great point. And actually, Kenny, I know you're there, and I just wanted to make sure,
Yeah.
we're saying hello to you, and if there's anything you want to add or any questions.
Hey, Kenny.
Sure. Hello, David. I just wanted to kind of like reiterate those point because And actually following kind of like how I've planned my book in the terms of the content, as well as what I've been doing is what you're basically explaining is what's called a feedback loop, where you implement something, you get the response back, and then you just keep on improving and maintaining, as well as seeing what changes you make. And that's kind of and a key distinction is that a system is just a sort of process, but what you're actually demonstrating is a real feedback loop that actually continues to grow without your constant involvement, which I really like to see because that's kind of the vision that I had when I had wrote the book The Cultivator, and it's going to be officially published on June 11th. But I have some stuff available and kind of right now I'm just like building out like just like a website for like the authors pages and all that. And then I also have like the landing page that I've been working on and thinking about what kind of content developing. And then I also appreciate that it's also a reinforcement of the idea, but also it's like your process leads to results and that results in is a constant reinforcement of that process. And that's the kind of loop that you want to like really build. That way it allows you.
That's great. First and foremost, congratulations, Kenny, on your book launch.
Hmm.
That's a great accomplishment.
Hmm.
And yeah, and you know, like my thinking on it, I always think in like how in a real practical way, like how to get the client, what's the quickest way, the most efficient way with our system, how to get the client to the touchdown. And all these like software and delegation and communication, all these things working together to create like this channel, like if to get them to the point of sale, like get them to the delivery. If it's automating, we're not talking about automation today, but it's connected in the sense that it's part of the system, and there's a sequence uh, emails that are sent out on the back end. Everything we talked about today goes or in organizing like your email marketing, all these things that we talked about, the communication and all that goes in organizing to so that we can deliver to make sure that we accomplish the mission, and all that goes into systemizing your tasks.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
And
think one of the key things is that you kind of have to know like what is it that you're uh, creating as well as kind of like understanding the process. Like for me, since I'm doing everything by myself, uh, for me, kind of like my annoyance is okay, I know I have to build out the website. I have these things, like, and I do them, but it also doesn't mean that I enjoy kind of like the process of kind of like uh, trying to figure everything out on my own. It's like I want like someone to collaborate with in order to bounce back ideas and then keep each other accountable and moving forward. But there's also the things that as a solopreneur that there are two types of people, one that requires someone to work together and one that can actually do everything by themselves. The only difference is that one lasts as long as a person's effort and energy until they either burn out or they find someone else to also bring in. And so kind of like my point is that right now I just started being able to have the book done and everything has been kind of like approved, and now I'm just like building up towards that official like launch date. And my only issue is like where do I find the resources, the people to collaborate, um and yeah.
yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. I think as we were talking about this, I was just thinking about like how one of the things we offer is we have a like a business clarity intensive. And that's where we do, it's more like a deep dive. And so it includes like a pre-call questionnaire and then a deep dive session with us and our team. And then we put together based on all that information, and it's like all customized to you and what you have going on and what your goals are and all this tools and system you're using or you want to be using. And then we put together a plan, and then after that we're available to help implement that if that's what they want to do. And I think that in the example of like the two different types of people, the person who's like wants to do everything themselves and they can, I think that they still like it would be wise to at least have like a coach or mentor, have a plan, an accountability partner, because
Yeah.
it can get tough in there.
Yeah, if you have like a bunch of pieces that you need to put together, it's all, I start thinking of it like this almost becomes like an algebraic like problem, like with order of operations, what's the most important thing to solve? And so if you need help out there, you can reach out to us. We're, you wouldn't have to, you don't have to work alone. You could have immediate support from MTZ. So we do offer a 30-minute free strategy call. Feel free to reach out to us and we can brainstorm, have a focused brainstorming session. So thank you again for joining us.
Mhm.
It was great to be with you.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time. Have a great week.
All right, thank you.